Hello everyone, good afternoon. Today, I will introduce to you radical and different types of characteristics.
A Chinese radical, Chinese pinyin, brochure, lit, section, header, or indexing component is a graphical component of a Chinese character under which the character is traditionally listed in a Chinese dictionary. This component is often a semantic indicator similar to a morpheme, though something it may be a phonetic component or even an artificially extracted portion of the character. In some cases, the original semantic or phonological connection has become obscure owing to change in character meaning or pronunciation over time. A Chinese radical, Chinese pinyin, brochure, lit, section, header, or indexing component is a graphical component of a Chinese character under which the character is traditionally listed in a Chinese dictionary. Characteristics. The Chinese traditionally divide the character into 6 types, called Liu Shi. 6 script, the most common of which is Shengsheng, a type of character that combines a semantic element called a radical with a phonetic element intended to remind the reader of the word pronunciation. Introducing Foundation Chinese 10 popular radical are some examples of character. I believe that you are be able to identify the radical and the add of character. Cow, mouth, cow. This character Ming means name. We can say that character mouth on the bottom because our name comes from the other of people's mouths. When to us, we sing that the mouse inside the door, so one way look this door, we ask the question. Shi means to eat. Of course, we use to mouse to eat. Shi means Ming, win, shi. Radical that occur on the left of the character. Radical. This one is sign. Radical as character. This one is sign. Pinyin, which means ren, meaning person. Example, you, ne, I, tamen. Radical. Pinyin, shu, meaning water. Example, river, she, wash, she. Radical. This one is sign. Radical as character. This sign. Pinyin, ri, meaning time and day. Example, time, which means she, early, zo.
Chinese characters. What are Chinese characters called? Chinese characters, also known as Hanzi, are one of the earliest forms of written language in the world, dating back approximately 5,000 years. Nearly 1/4 of the world population still use Chinese characters today. As an art form, Chinese calligraphy remains an integral aspect of Chinese culture. How many types of characters are there in Mandarin? There are 6 different kinds of Chinese characters known as Liu Shu. However, there are 3 main categories: pictographs, ideographs, and determinative phonetics. The 6 types of Chinese characters. Number 1. Xiangxing. Pictographs. The oldest characters form are known as Xiangxing or image shapes by the lexicographer Xu Zhen. Some of the simplest objects to draw were animals, tools, and other natural phenomena that we now call pictograph characters. These are examples of pictographs characters: Ye or moon, Shan or mountain. Number 2. Shi. Ideographs. These characters began to develop and showed Shi, indirect characters or ideographs that were more abstract. Xu Zhen referred to this character as pointing to matters. These abstract ideas were shown with metaphorical or symbolic pictographs. For example, 1 line Yi, 2 lines Er, 3 lines Sang. To indicate numbers 1, 2, and 3, dots and lines added to horizontal lines to indicate characters such as up, Shang, and down, Xia. And additional lines added to Mu to make Mo. Tip and Ben or root. 3. Xing Sheng. Determinative phonetic characters. As China developed quickly, Xu Zhen created his most ingenious method of script known as Xi Sheng, which combined the pictogram with phonetics and was known as determinative phonetic characters or phonetic compounds. This allowed scholars to create an unlimited amount of characters, and it was at this time that the evolution of the written Chinese script was almost complete. The character Mu is nearly always determinative in a compound word. This means that the compounds are almost always associated with the wood or something wooden. Since the number of determinatives are relatively small, the radical system was created by Xu Zhen and Xu Wenzhezi. The Chinese dictionary was complete in 121 AD and include 440 radicals or Bo Shu. During the Qing dynasty, 1644 to 1911 AD, these 540 radicals were reduced to 214, and this still exists today. One of the changes that occurred to the Chinese language was the phonetic pronunciations of some characters that are almost unrecognizable to the original phonetics. 4. Huiyi. Combined ideographs. Huiyi, or meeting of ideas combined 2 or more pictographs or ideographs to create a new character. For example, Ming, bright, is made up of Ri, meaning sun, and Yue, meaning moon. How, good, is made up of N, woman, and Z, child. Here are some examples of Huiyi, combined ideographs characters. 5. Zhuanzu, transfer characters. Zhuanzu transfer characters are the most difficult to explain and are the least understood. These characters could be interchangeably with each other due to them sharing the same radical and having a similar etymology. 6. Jiajia, lone characters. The final category are the Jiajia or lone characters. This method loans the physical character of the homophonous word. A homophone is a word that sounds similar but have a different meaning. For example, back in the day, there was no character for the abstract idea of to come, since there was already an existing character with the same pronunciation. Lai, the serial plant was loaned to the new character Lai. C, meaning basket, was lent to she, meaning he, she, it. The original meaning of the character she, that now means west, was a bird in a nest. Xu Shen said that the bird rests in the nest when the sun was in the west, and therefore gave the character over to west.
The basics of Chinese character. You won't master the language if you don't know its basics. To start you off with Chinese characters, learn the easiest ones first. Here are some of the most basic commonly used characters in Chinese. Because they have so few strokes, these are some of the simplest words to write in Chinese. You'll find them easy to remember as well since some of the characters actually resemble their meaning. 30 easy Chinese character. Number 1 is E in English 1. The character for 1 in Chinese is simply one horizontal stroke. Incidentally, the characters for 2 and 3 are also simple horizontal strokes. 1, 2, and 3 are easy to remember since 1 is 1 stroke, 2 is 2 stroke, and 3 is 3 strokes. 1 in Chinese is used in reference to the singular such as a single person. Number 2 is Ren in English person. The Chinese character for person is 2 simple strokes. The character looks like a person with legs apart. It is also like a walking man. When you put 2 of these characters together producing Ren, the meaning is everyone. Number 3 is Ri in English sun. The character for sun looks like a box with a line in the middle. It's supposed to approximate the image of the sun. You might have to use a little imagination, but in ancient Kun's script, this character was more circular like the sun. Ri not only refers to the earth's surface of light, but it also means day. It's used when talking about dates. For example, 7th day is the 7th day of whatever month you're talking about. If you put the 2 sun together, Ri means every day. Number 4 is Yue, in English moon. The character for moon originally resembled a crescent. Yue not only refers to the nightly crescents, but it also means month. For example, 8th month, 7th date, it has you write August 7th. Number 5 is Shan in English mountain. These characters looks like a mountain range. 3 towering peaks symbolize the mountains. And combined with other characters, it means even more things related to nature and scenery. For example, when combined with the characters for water, Shui, and get Shan Shui, which means landscape. Number 6 is Shui, in English, water. The character for water resembles a drip with some splashes. To make use of other character we already learned, 1 glass of water is Bei Shui. Number 7 is Ta, in English, big. The character for big looks like a person with arms and legs spread wide. When we combine Ta with other character we just learned, Ren, we get Da Ren, which means adult, or literally big man. For example, Da Shan, which means big mountain. Another example is Da Sui, in English, university, literally big school. Number 8 is Xiao, in English, small. Example is Xiao Sue, meaning little school. Note that Xiao only refers to size. When you talk about small amounts, we say Xiao. Number 9 is Ko. In English, mouth. The character for mouth looks just like an opening. Here are some common phrases that use this character. Da Ko means big mouthful. Chu Ko means exit. Ren Ko means population. Shan Ko means mountain pass. Number 10 is Hua. In English, fire. Here are some ways to use this character. Da Hua means big flame and Xiao Hua means small flame. Refers to heat levels for cooking. You might see this in recipes. For example, Shan Hua, which means forest fire. Number 11 is Nan, which means boy. The character for boy is actually the combination of Tian means farm and Li means work, referring to how traditionally men work the land. You'll see this character on the door of public washrooms. Here a couple more instances using these characters. Nan Ren, which means man. Nan Yu means boyfriend. Number 12 is Nu. In English, girl. This character kind of looks like a lady cross her legs or almost look like a woman dancing. Here are 2 examples of how to use this character. Ni Nu, which means pretty girl. Xiao Nu means young lady. Number 13 is Tian. In English, sky. Notice how the shape of this character points upwards towards the sky. 2 of these characters together, Tian means every day as well. The 4 seasons are written as Chun Tian means spring. Xian Tian means summer. Chi Tian means fall. Dung Tian means winter. There's also Jin Tian means today. Su Tian means yesterday. Ming Tian means tomorrow. Number 14 is Mu. In English, cow. This character looks like an animal with horns. Here are a couple ways we use this character. Myo Ro means beef. Number 15 is Ma. In English, horse. The horse character resembles an animal with running legs and a long neck. Number 16 is Yang. In English, sheep. This character looks like an animal with antlers. Here's how we use these characters. Shan Yang means mountain sheep or goat. Yang Mao means fleece. Number 17 is Mu. In English, wood. This nature-associated character resembles a tree. Number 18 is Kung. In English, work. This item character appears in many work-related terms as well. Here's where you might see it. Gung Zu means job. Gung Ren means worker. 19 is kai in English often. This word can also mean to start. We use this character in these ways. Kai tao means surgery. Kai kung means start work. Kai ko means speak up. Next is shen means heart. We're not totally sure, but perhaps these characters look like a little like the organ it refers to. Here's how to use this character. Xiao Xin means be careful. Kai Xin means happy. 21 is men, English door. This character does bear a striking resemblance to a doorway. Here are a couple more use of this character. Men ko means doorway. Kai min means open the door. Next is bu. In English, no. Although this character means no, we don't usually use it by itself. We usually say bu shi for no and not correct, or bu how or for no or not good. Bu xiao literally translate to not few, and so in other words means a lot. Next is she. In English, 10. 10 in Chinese is a very versatile word. For example, she fin means very good. In counting, all the 10 digits use 10 as the base, that is, she. E means 11. She means 12. She san. She si. She wu. 24 is xiao, means hand. Can you guess how this character resembles its meaning? Check out the lines in the palm of your hand. Here are more ways to use this character. Xiao kung means handicraft. I xiao means single-handedly or by oneself. Next is Wang in English, king. Wang is a popular last name. For example, Wang Li Hong. Li Hong Wang is the name of the popular singer and actor. There's also Wang Zi, which means prince. 26 is mi, in English, rice. Now for the word that refers to the food staples and Chinese cultural icon. Here are more cases of the characters for rice. Yu, mi, means corn. Bai, mi, means white rice or refined rice for eating. 27 is xing, in English, bird. The word bird also refers to life and the start of something. Here are some of the many ways to use it. Xing ri means birthday. Yi xing means one's whole life. Chu xing means be born. 28 is zong, in English, center. This is an important character because it's part of Chinese name. It also looks like what it means, a line through the center of something. You'll see this character used in these ways among others. For example, Zong Gu means China, literally meaning Middle Kingdom. Zong Wen means Chinese. Zong Wu means noon. Zong Zue means high school. Next is Shang, in English, up. 3 strokes make up this character that looks like it's pointing up. These characters also refers to attending something or going somewhere. Here's how we use it. Shang Ki means go to class. Shang ban means go to work. And last is xia means down. These simple characters looks like a downward arrow. It also refers to leaving or getting off someplace. For example, xia ban means get off work. Xia ki means get off class. Xia chi means get out of the car.
We got history, got me feeling the nostalgia when you look at me. Thinking about
Good day everyone, my topic for today is learning to write Chinese character. Method for learning to write Chinese. Number 1. Character components. You saw in the previous article how Chinese characters are composed of components. These component parts can actually be characters themselves. For example, have a look at the traditional character for food. Fun, food. This character has two components. Shi, eat. Fun, opposite. So we get our pronunciation hint from fun and our meaning hint from shi. The cool thing is that these are both characters on their own as well. For example, they appear in these words. Shitang, canteen. Fandui, to oppose. We could also go and break down all of those characters and see what they contain. But I just want to illustrate the point here. You'll do plenty of character breakdowns yourself when you're studying. You may be starting to see the power of doing character breakdowns and word breakdowns in Chinese. By learning what each individual bit means and what's doing, you can make it much easier to remember. You should be aware, too, that character breakdowns don't always make sense. By that I mean that sometimes there doesn't seem to be any phonetic relation or anything meaning relation. Let's take the sh character we just looked at as an example. Ren, person. Liang, good. This one doesn't make sense. The reason is that this character didn't begin life as a phonetic meaning combination. It's actually supposed to be a picture of a serving dish with a lid. There are many characters like this in Chinese. The writing system has been formed in many different ways. Number 3. Look for patterns. The next important thing you should do while you learn to write Chinese is to continually look for patterns in the Chinese writing system. Pay attention to what components are used in what characters. Make lists of characters that share a component and look for a theme. Make lists of characters that have the same phonetic component and see the themes in how they're pronounced. Find out the meaning of and pronunciation of a character you haven't seen, and try to guess which components go into it. The proper way to write Chinese characters. There are the 6 main rules of Chinese stroke order. The number 1 is top to bottom. Chinese, Kong Shen Dao Shi. Number 2, left to right. Chinese, Kung Zhou Dao Yu. Number 3, first horizontal, then vertical. Chinese, Shan Heng Hou Shu. Number 4, first right to left diagonals, then left to right diagonals. Chinese, Xian Fai Hung Na. Number 5, center comes first in the vertical symmetrical characters. Chinese, Xian Zhongjian Hou Liang Bian. And then the last part is move from outside to inside and close frames. Chinese, Kung Wai Jiao Ning. Xian Jin Hou Guan.
The importance of strokes in Chinese character. In modern times, especially in the digital times, there should be a standard of the stroke order so that when people input characters with stroke order, method is useful to program the input method consistently. We have some general rules of the stroke order, such as from up to down, from left to right. I think this is reasonable because you will feel comfortable when writing that way. Remember, you are not a machine or computer. You can precisely control the position of each stroke, so you can write the stroke here and there to get a beautiful character. This promotes writing speed, accuracy, and readability. This idea is particularly important since as learners progress, characters often get more complex. Since stroke order also aids learning and memorization, students are often taught about it from a very early age in school and encouraged to follow them. Evolution of Chinese script. The Jigawen script consists of objects, people or things. As the need of recorder, more complex ideas arose. The new characters were introduced. Some characters are combination of two or more simpler characters, each of which can contribute a particular meaning or sound to the more complex character. As the Chinese writing system became more formalized, the concept of stroke and radicals became its foundation. Strokes are the basic gestures used to write Chinese characters, and radicals are the building blocks of all Chinese characters. Depending on the classification system, there are about 12 different strokes and 216 different radicals. The Chinese character, Yung, meaning forever, or permanence is often used to illustrate the 8 basic strokes of Chinese character. They are Dian, dot, Heng, horizontal, Shu, erect, Gu, hook, Ti, raise, Wan, bend curve, Pie, throw away slant, Na, freezing forcefully, all Chinese characters are composed of these 8 basic strokes, and knowledge of this stroke is essential for any student of Mandarin Chinese who wishes to write Chinese characters by hand. It is now possible to write in Chinese on the computer and never write the characters by hand. Even so, it is still a good idea to become familiar with strokes and radicals, since they are used as a classification system in many dictionaries. Strokes order. Chinese characters are written with a codified stroke order. The basic stroke order is left to right, top to bottom, but more rules are added as the characters become more complex. Simplified Chinese characters are standardized Chinese characters used in mainland China, Malaysia, and Singapore, as prescribed by the Table of General Standard Chinese Characters. Along with the traditional Chinese characters, they are one of the 2 standard character sets of the contemporary Chinese written language.
How to say you in Chinese Mandarin? Ni. For example, ni shi wo de. It means you are mine. How to say good in Chinese Mandarin? Hao de. For example, hao go. It means good dog.
A really important and common character. It's written with 7 strokes.
撇 树 撇、横钩、竖钩、撇、点。
This is how to write good in Chinese.
Stroke order for writing Chinese characters. What is Chinese stroke order and why it is important? Chinese character stroke order called Bixua, Shunxua, or Bishan, for short, refers to the order in which the separate strokes that make up Chinese characters are written. Although these points are valid, stroke order is still critically important. Knowing stroke order accelerates the memorization of characters and unlocks a deeper understanding or the structure of every Chinese character you encounter. Understanding Chinese stroke order rules is also incredibly useful when trying to find these commonly used characters in dictionaries or via text prediction on your keyboard. Correct stroke order ensures good form and presentation of the character, and is deeply connected with the history of the Chinese language itself. After all, Chinese characters are an art form, and the rules of stroke order are especially important when it comes to writing Chinese calligraphy. Ito po yung Saugo keyboard. Understanding stroke order allows you to find character by stroke type on a Saugo keyboard. Different strokes for different folks. It is important to know that stroke order can vary depending on the language in question. Multiple languages that use some Chinese characters and derivatives, also known as CJK characters. These include Japanese, Korean, and classical Vietnamese. When Chinese characters are used in these languages, they may be written using different stroke order rules. Our article, however, will focus on the standard stroke order, rules used to write Chinese characters in China. How many total possible strokes are there in Chinese? There are 41 basics and compound Chinese strokes, however they are generally categorized into 8 types, also known as the Yangzima Hua, 8 principles of Yang. This name derives from the fact that the character Yang encompasses all 8 of the main Chinese strokes. The 8 basic strokes used to write Chinese characters are as follows. Each Chinese stroke type has a different name associated with it. The character Yang makes use of all 8 Chinese stroke types. This is all 8 Chinese stroke types. Name Hang, horizontal stroke. Sha, vertical stroke. Pai, leaf slanting downward stroke. Dian, dot stroke. Na, right slanting downward stroke. Chi, upward lifting stroke. Si, folding stroke. Ga, vertical hook to the left stroke. The proper way to write Chinese characters, the 6 main rules of Chinese stroke order. Here are the essential stroke order rules for writing simplified Chinese characters. Number 1, top to bottom. In the Chinese, Gong Xiang Dao Xia. 2, left to right. In Chinese, Gong Se Dao Ya. Example characters. Number 3, first horizontal then vertical Chinese, Xian Cheng Wo Xia. Number 4 is first to right to left diagonals, then left to right diagonals. In Chinese, Xian Pie Ho Na. Number 5, center comes first and vertically symmetrical characters. In Chinese, Xian Xiong Chan Chua Lang Pian. Number 6 is move from outside to inside and close frame last. In Chinese, Gong Wan Chao, Qiyan Qin Chu Wan. Although at first glance these rules may seem daunting,
They are actually very intuitive once you get some practice. How to practice stroke order? The best way to learn stroke order and to get a natural feel for the correct method is to practice. As you write a variety of different characters, you will naturally become exposed to the different stroke required, and over time, they will become second nature. Bonus fun fact, what Chinese character has the most strokes? If taking into account Chinese characters and derivatives used in the Chinese, Japanese, and Korean languages, then the character with the most stroke is the Japanese Taito kanji, which consists of 84 strokes. This character was invented for the Shanxi style biang noodles and consists of 58 strokes in its traditional form. The biang character shown here has the most stroke of any Chinese character. Chinese stroke order vocabulary. Bishua, Shunshua, stroke order. Bishan, stroke order abbreviation. Yongzi Fa, 8 principles of Yang. Shang, purpose. Song Sing, importance. Sha, order. Xing, form of a Chinese character. Qi Bin Ku Shi, basic rules. Xing Xiang, to influence. Xu Shi Sudu, writing speed. Mei Gun Chan Qing, aesthetics. Lian Qi, to practice. Bie, to memorize. Chai Yi, difference or discrepancy. Jiayu, education. Dian Xinhua, digitalization. Xiaofa, calligraphy. And this is the reference. Thank you. Xinxini.